All right, guys. So we're going to talk about World's Finest Volume 6, Imp Possible. I kind of finished this book a little early. So yeah, we're going to talk about this, and this is another book sent to me by my friend Chris. Chris, thank you as always for the comic, as well as the others. And sorry. So we're kind of going to go through this comic. What was I going to say? We're going to go through this comic and talk about it. Now, like I said in every one of these, World's Finest is Mark Waid's Superman-Batman book that is set in the nebulous early years of Clark and Bruce's life within the DC universe. This is still an era where Dick Grayson was still Robin, and it's nuts. It is primarily a Superman-Batman book, but it is, and I've said this before, it is more or less Mark Waid's love letter to the DC universe as a whole. That's really what it comes down to, is that it's more of Mark Waid's love letter to the DC universe. Like I said, he has written for Marvel, and it's very clear he likes Marvel, but he loves DC. And yeah, so this book is pretty awesome. I enjoyed it. It's pretty fun. Volume 7 I'm really excited for, because Volume 7 apparently deals with Eclipso, and Eclipso is always a villain I enjoy seeing. It was part of one of the I'm sorry to go on a minor tangent here, but Eclipso was one of the reasons why I got into Jeremy Adams' Flash run, because I was scoping through it, and it was a cool idea of him teaming up with Dr. Fate. It was a cover of him and Dr. Fate. It was oh, Wally West Flash, and he's hanging out with Dr. Fate. That's a really cool concept. And I'm oh, they're fighting Eclipso. That's really cool. So I always enjoy Eclipso as a villain. So I'm really excited for Volume 7. But yeah, getting back to this book, as I said in the review of Volume 5, the big thing with this book is that it takes place it was preluded in Volume 5, where in Volume 5 we essentially have a new villain showing up. That villain is Doom-Mite, who's from the 6th dimension, and he's killing off imps. So Mxyzptlk and Bat-Mite travel to the main universe and are hey, Doom-Mite's coming. He's coming for one thing only. He wants to fight the most powerful being in your universe. So that's the story. Is that Doom-Mite in the world, that the imps and the Justice League not only have to contend with Doom-Mite, but also an Injustice version of imp versions of the Injustice Gang as well, who are teaming up with main superheroes. This is a fun romp if you haven't, and it doesn't take itself seriously, in case you weren't aware already. So I really do enjoy that, first and foremost. That can be a fun story. I always enjoy fifth dimensional stuff. It is hard to write. I will admit that you can do it pretty wrong if you do, you can really mess up a fifth dimensional story or an imp story on a whole if you don't have the right stuff for it. The villain Doom-Mite, I said this before in my previous review of Secret Origins, is that the dude straight up looks like a villain from... He straight up looks like Mojo. That's what I meant to say. I mean, look at him. Really. Look at him. He is basically a Temu version of Mojo. And don't say, oh, Mark Waid couldn't have possibly known that, that Mojo, what Mojo looks like. No, he's worked at Marvel. He's worked on X-Men books. He knows what Mojo looks like. So I guarantee you, when he was working with Dan Mora, who, again, Dan Mora just kills it on artwork. Just absolutely just rocks it every time on artwork. He had to have had a nose make him look like Mojo. But it's not just that. There's also a clever little I feel like Mark Waid's also taking a jab at people who enjoy power levels, because there's moments in here, because Doom-Mite, like I said, he's looking for the most powerful being to fight, and he's he's fascinated, he's obsessed with power levels and abilities and things like that. He also has a big neck beard and double chin and small wire frame glasses, and he doesn't appreciate female heroes. I'm I feel like you're saying something, Mark. Maybe a little louder. So that's what I got the feeling of. I really do like how they switch up having the imps team up with each other, like having Batmite team up with Superman, and Superman basically like, yeah, the hero worship is like it's not healthy. Like Batman's life is a little darker than you remember. This also is supposed to explain why we don't see a lot of Batmite in a lot of Batman's later adventures. Again, this comic's basically rewriting the new continuity with DC Universe, according to Mark Waid. So there is a thing of like, this is supposed to explain why Batmite doesn't show up in Batman books anymore, and why Mxyzptlk keeps showing up every so often. So that's really, and also reading Mxyzptlk, you can't help but think of Gilbert Godfrey's voice no matter what. The comic is really fun. It also has some great jokes with Jimmy Olsen, as well as, you know, Dick and Mxyzptlk, and the name thing that does pay off. So that's the main story. This comic is like this book is basically two different stories. The Impossible storyline is essentially finished in 4 issues, but this is 5 issues, and the 5th issue is a one-and-done story involving the first adventure of the Trinity. Or rather, because they kind of showed in Wonder Woman Annual in 2017 that there's a new origin of the Trinity. So this is like their second adventure, like their second meeting, and Superman, Batman, and Robin travel to Themyscira because there is a murder that has occurred, and everyone's been interviewed on the island, but no one can figure out what happened. Like the Lasso has interrogated everyone, and they can't seem to figure out what happened. It is a really cool story, and I will give it to Mark Waid that he knows how to pace these stories. Like, it's not like, you know, the Impossible story could have gone on for 2 more issues, and I feel like 2 issues too long. So, and also this story could have been drug out too, but thankfully the Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman story is just a one and done, which I think is pretty cool. Sometimes you just need those. And I really do like how, like, this story essentially is Wonder Woman getting the rest of Themyscira to trust these 2 men. So that's a cool underlying current. The villains that show up in the story are ones I was not expecting. They're not your typical Wonder Woman villains. It is part of the Greek pantheon, though, I will say that. All in all, it's a fun, like, World's Finest is just fun. Like, that's really what it boils down to, is just absolute fun. And again, I feel like, they're just giving Mark Waid carte blanche to just write the DC universe however he please. I mean, hell, they gave him History of the DC Universe. Like, they gave him that updated version. But yeah, so there you go, guys. The comic continues to be awesome. And Chris, thank you as always for this book, and for all the other books you send me. And yeah, if you've read this series, let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of this volume. Other than that, I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.